If fear is the only thing stopping us from achieving our dreams, and we only fear what we don't understand, then the antidote to fear is knowledge. All we have to do is find out who has the knowledge that we need to conquer our fears and achieve our entrepreneurial dreams. My name is Callum Walker, and welcome to the podcast that will help you figure it out and conquer this lonely entrepreneurial journey.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. Today I've got some fantastic news. So if you've been following this for a while, if you've been following me for a while, you will know that I'm a huge Russell Brunson fan. I invested over £25,000 of my hard-earned cash to go into his mentorship program last year. And I have some excellent news because I, for a second year, am in Russell's program. But, it's a different one. The last one that I was in was called 2 Comma Club X. It was really about learning how you can grow and scale your business from a marketing and delivery point of view. And, that was great. I got all of the information that I needed. I had an amazing experience. I also learned what a £25,000 coaching program looks like. And I was really, really able to take so much inspiration from that and apply that to my own program. And I don't need anything else from that program anymore. I got all the answers, but I do need more from Russell. I love Russell so much. And that is a very, very powerful lesson to you here straight up off the bat, that I haven't just purchased a program. I purchased Russell. So I'm following Russell. I have a relationship with him. So for you as a fitness coach, an online coach, a personal trainer, a gym owner, your clients aren't buying your gym, your online coaching, or your personal training. They are buying you. They are buying into you. Which is why I'm now in another one of his programs called Secrets of Success. And it's brilliant. It's so, so good. And it's a lesson really that I've kind of learned. I've kind of been on this journey for a while. But if you struggle with procrastination potentially, or you really, really kind of feel like you're not fully making progress, if you feel almost kind of like a car. So imagine you're a car, that you've got your foot full on the accelerator, but the problem is you've got the parking brake on. You feel like you're putting out all of this energy, but getting nowhere. Then this episode will really, really help you, because it will reveal exactly what you need to do in order to be able to take the parking brake off. And I've learned this from Russell. And it's also just through my own introspection and looking internally. It's really, really, delivered the specific, answer for me as to whenever I felt like that, why that's specifically happening. And I really want to kind of introduce a concept to you, called the resistance. Yeah. So the resistance. So it almost kind of being like, when you kind of get if we look at, going to the gym. Yeah. We're all in the fitness space. Yeah. We're in the fitness space. We go to the gym. Now, would we all agree that the hardest part about training is not the training in itself? It is challenging when you're really pushing yourself, but the actual training itself isn't the hard thing. The hard thing is getting to the gym. The hard thing is, I have the idea in my head, I'm going to go to the gym. And then all of a sudden after that, we then get hit with this resistance, which can form itself in the form of alibis. So whether it's not today, do this, you worked really hard, go and do this and this, or potentially procrastination in terms of, okay, I'm going to go to the gym, but I'll go in an hour, or I'll go tomorrow and I'll put it off. That's kind of that resistance, that thing that for some reason just kind of gets in the way of you, making progress and taking action to move forward with things. So, first of all, I wanted to kind of know that, this is a thing, isn't it? It's almost kind of that procrastination that right, I'm going to sit down and do something but then for some reason, I'm going to find every possible reason to do something else, and this is certainly a journey that I'm on at the moment, which is what I'm really, really trying to master. And I'm certainly getting better at it day by day by day, is by having a way of overcoming the procrastination and that resistance. I have found that to begin with, the reason why I've had that procrastination and the reason why I've had that resistance there, first of all, has been because I'm not fully clear on where I was actually going and what I was trying to achieve. My goal in itself was too broad and too vague. So I just need more clients. Well, the thing is, more clients, there's no differentiation between one client or 100 clients. Well, how many clients do you actually need? And also, how do you plan on acquiring those clients? Because for me to acquire one client, the actions that I would take to do that would be very different to the actions that I would need to take if my goal was to acquire 100 clients. So first of all, I think that when it comes to any form of procrastination and resistance, I think first of all, we need to ensure that we are clear on what our specific goal is that we are trying to achieve. Because then what we can do is take advantage of asking the question of, is what I'm about to do right now going to get me one step closer to where I want to get to? If the answer is yes, do it. If the answer is no, don't. You know, in a previous podcast episode, I really kind of spoke about a lesson that I got from here, from Alice in Wonderland. So from Alice in Wonderland, the lesson really was, you know, how Alice, you know, she met the Cheshire Cat, and she went to the cat and asked, "Oh, Mr. Cat, which way should I go?" And the cat goes, "Well, where do you want to go?" She goes, "Oh, I don't really know." And the cat responds with, "Well, it doesn't matter which way you go then." So having that definite, clear, destination and place that we're moving towards, that one specific goal, is vital for us to overcome the resistance and overcome the procrastination. Because when that procrastination comes in, but more importantly, when we're almost kind of asking ourselves that question of what should I do, the question needs to be, okay, is what I'm about to do right now getting me one step closer to the goal that I'm trying to achieve? If the answer is yes, do it. If the answer is no, don't do it. So I think first of all, the key thing is about having that very, very clear destination to overcome the procrastination. Then getting clear on exactly how do I plan on actually achieving that specific goal, and then breaking it down into specific chunks and daily tasks. And then the most important thing, which is the second part to overcoming this resistance, which is just solely focusing on achieving that task. I know for myself, you know, right now I'm launching a new free masterclass, a new free webinar. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go and do a free webinar, a free masterclass, to really kind of like, you know, deliver some free content and some free value to, you know, my email list, my social media following, etc. Now, the thing is, one that, I really, really need to make sure that I'm clear as to how I'm going to achieve that. So I broke down a very, very clear plan of action. So I know exactly how I'm going to promote that webinar. I know exactly how I'm going to deliver it. And I have a very, very clear plan. But the problem is I then have to take action. Okay. I then have to take action. So the first thing is I've gone like, okay, right. I've listed out all of the tasks that need to take place in order for this thing to actually happen. So I know what I'm going to do. But the problem is, even though I know exactly what I need to do, there is a difference between knowing what to do and doing what needs to be done. So there is a difference between knowing what to do and doing what needs to be done. I want you to ring that through your head over and over and over again. There is a difference between knowing what to do and doing what needs to be done. And I have found that the most powerful way of overcoming that procrastination is this. And I learned this from Russell. And it's going to sound really, really silly, but if you kind of think about it, I've got a clear goal. I've got a clear destination. I've got a clear plan. I know exactly what I need to do today to move the needle forward. Yet that procrastination will still seep in. Okay. Even if I'm there, I could still end up procrastinating and find other reasons to flick through social media, to go, oh, do you know what? I'm going to go and eat something. I'm going to go and do something else or whatever. Because without this one thing, the urgency and the drive to take action on that doesn't happen. And it's to put a deadline in place. It is to put a deadline in place. And you are taking advantage of the principle of necessity is the mother of invention. So what I did was that I've been going in my mind, like, yeah, I'm going to do a webinar. I'm going to do a webinar. I'm going to do a webinar. I've had that in my mind for a while. Okay. But I need to put that into action. I need to make sure it happens. So what I've done is today I emailed my email list and I said, hey guys, I've got a webinar coming up on this specific date at this specific time. So now I've held myself accountable to everyone else and I've got to make it happen. Now, internally, I have this immediate fear. Okay. I've got to put that out there. I've made a commitment and I've taken the first step to making this thing come to fruition. I've taken the action that is going to cause me to have the urgency to no longer procrastinate. Do you know why? Because of probably the most powerful human motivator, which is jeopardy, which is to avoid failure. So I spoke about this on a couple of podcast episodes beforehand, but it really, really involves the magician, Harry Houdini. And this also involves Anthony Joshua, the boxer. Okay. Now, this is also something that can really help with your clients. In terms of Harry Houdini was he was a magician, yeah? He was a magician, probably the most famous magician of all time. And the thing to realize about Houdini was that he wasn't actually the best magician. So it's very, very known in the magic world that Houdini wasn't actually the best magician, but he was the most famous magician of all time. And specifically, how is this going to help with procrastination and making sure that you get stuff done? You'll find out in a second. But, and so just stick with me here, because Houdini used to do a trick. Yeah, it's a very, very common magician trick, where effectively they'd hang, upside down from a crane. They'd be tied up in chains. And basically what the magician would have to do would be to break out of the chains. So they'd have to break out of the chains, hanging upside down and then land safely. Now, the thing is, a typical magician would have, maybe 200 or 300 people come and watch the magician deliver that specific trick on a stage in a theater. Okay, about 200 to 300 people. But the thing is, Houdini, even though he wasn't well known, Houdini would have over 10,000 people come and attend and watch him deliver that same magic trick. So it's the exact same magic trick. No one actually knew who Houdini was, so he didn't have a loyal fan base. But for some reason, he would have 10,000 people come and watch it, whereas the other guys, the standard magicians, would have 200 to 300. Same trick. So why is that? What is it that he did? Well, Houdini was still hanging upside down. It was still the exact same chains, same crane. But whereas the normal magicians would do it on a stage 2 to 3 meters above the ground, Houdini did it above a river 100 meters above the ground. So think about that. Which one would you rather go and watch? Okay, you'd go and watch Houdini. But why would you go and watch Houdini? You'd go and watch Houdini because if he failed, he died. Okay, he had to pull it off. He had to get it done. It was a necessity. So not only from a marketing point of view was it more attractive, but also for Houdini in terms of getting it right, he had to make sure that he could deliver the trick. So what's Anthony Joshua got to do with this? Well, about 6 months or so ago, Anthony Joshua fought a fighter from MMA, so mixed martial arts from the UFC, called Francis Ngannou. Now, Francis Ngannou had previously fought Tyson Fury. So he fought Tyson Fury, and bearing in mind, this was the first ever boxing match that Francis Ngannou had ever fought. He fought against the #1 world heavyweight champion in boxing. So Tyson Fury was known as the best boxer that is currently out there at the time, and he was fighting Francis Ngannou. And Tyson Fury very, very nearly lost to this guy who'd never boxed before. So what happened was that Anthony Joshua then booked a fight to go and fight Francis Ngannou. Now, the thing is that there'd been a lot of questions about Anthony Joshua. A lot of people had asked about his career and gone like, oh, maybe Joshua's gone. He spent, he lost a couple of fights. He wasn't fighting particularly well. And he really, really needed to have a win. But the problem was that this guy, Francis Ngannou, could be a huge banana skin for Joshua, because not only if he loses, he loses his reputation in terms of he's just lost another boxing match, but more importantly, he's lost to an amateur. He's lost to a guy who isn't even a boxer. Now, this was one of the most viewed boxing fights of all time because of the jeopardy. Because if Joshua lost, not only is his whole reputation tarnished and he doesn't go down as one of the greats in the slightest, but all of boxing is then a joke. Because if these people can just turn up after never boxing and fight all of the professionals, well, this really, really isn't something to watch. So because the stakes were so high, the jeopardy was so high, Joshua had to find a way. So it's the same, for example, with my webinar, okay? So I put it in at a specific date. I've held myself accountable. And the first thought that came to my mind was, what if nobody shows up? If nobody shows up, I look like a dick. Okay? So I've got to make this happen. I have to take action now. I have to make sure that I put everything in place to make this happen. So remember, necessity is the mother of invention. So putting a deadline in place is a surefire way of overcoming the resistance. And then whenever that resistance comes into place, when you're about to do something and then you find yourself procrastinating, that's when you need to take a breath, because there is a gap between the stimulus, the initial thought of, oh, I'm going to flick through Instagram. There is a gap between you deciding to pick up your phone and actually picking up your phone. And in that moment, what I would love you to do is take advantage of something from the SAS, so the Special Forces, which I learned from a guy called Ollie Ollerton. His book Breakpoint was fantastic here, especially in being able to really take control of your mind. It was a fantastic tool. And he shared this concept called breathe, recalibrate, and deliver. So effectively, when you are in that kind of like gap between I've got the impulse and the urge to go and procrastinate, to go and pick up my phone, to go and, kind of flick through Instagram, there's that gap. Take a breath, breathe, recalibrate by going, I'm in charge, and asking yourself the question, is this going to take me one step closer to where I want to be or one step further away from where I want to be? If the answer is closer to where I want to be, I'm going to take action. If the answer is further away, I'm going to avoid action. And then deliver. Take the specific action that is going to benefit you. So whenever you get that impulse, that urge, breathe, recalibrate by asking yourself the question, is what I'm about to do going to get me one step closer to where I'm going to get to? If the answer is yes, do it. If the answer is no, don't do it. And then deliver by taking the specific action that is going to get you one step closer to where you need to be. That is how we overcome procrastination. And there is a second way that you can do it, is by changing your environment. But that is one for another podcast episode. Never forget, if every one of your clients gave you just one new client, you've doubled your business.